Hi there, it's Shelley from Taming Frenzy. And very quickly, I wanted to go over just 5 very simple reasons how you can save money by using a food inventory planner. Reason number 1, and probably the most important reason, using a food inventory planner lets you know what you have in the house, what you've got on stock. It lets you know what you've got in your pantry, in your cupboard, in your refrigerator, in your freezer, any other places that you might have stuck things. If you have, odd storage spaces, it lets you know what you've got. The second reason is it lets you know where those particular things are. For example, if you have a smaller home or live in an apartment, you may have some things stuck in a cupboard in your kitchen. You may have some canned goods stored in a box underneath your bed. You may have some things stored up on a shelf in a closet. By knowing what you've got and where it is, you are in better shape because you are not going to be looking for something and scrambling and possibly making a last minute run to the grocery store because you can't find something that you really thought you had. The third way that you will save money by using a food inventory is you will be able to then stock up on sales. Because once you've taken this inventory and once you know what you have and where you've got it, you can go into a grocery store, you can pull up their app, you can look at sales, however it is that you find those. And when you see something that's on a good price, you can take a look at your inventory and you can make a decision. Is this something I need? Is this something I use regularly? Is this a good price? Do I need to add this to my inventory? But it's hard to know the answer to those questions unless you know what you've got in the first place. The fourth way that you'll save money having a food inventory is just the opposite. Sometimes you need to be very aware of what you do not need to buy. For example, once you take inventory, if you find out that you've got way too many cans of beets and your family doesn't like beets and you don't use them very often, you might see a sale for beets, but knowing the fact that you've already got a few that you haven't used in a long time, you don't need to buy those. Likewise, even things that your family uses and that you use in a lot of different meals, if you find out that you've got, a jillion of them, you don't necessarily need to go buy more tomato sauce if you've already got a whole bunch of them. So knowing what not to spend your money on is a way to keep that money in your pocket. There will always be another sale at some point. Once you have your food inventory done, once you have a variety of the items that you and your family like and use the most consistently, then you can start meal planning from the inventory that you've already got on hand. You don't have to sit down and every week think, I'm going to make A, B, C, and D for dinners this week. Now I'm going to need to go to the grocery store and buy every one of those ingredients. You can instead look at your inventory and look and see that, okay, I've already got some, chicken tenders, and I've already got some cream cheese, and I've already got tomato sauce or spaghetti sauce. I've already got noodles. You can look at those things that you already have in your household, and you can go ahead and make meals from those items, and that's going to save you money. Then once you are to that point, your grocery shopping trips simply become a way to stock up on the things that you use the most, and then your meal planning will become something that you do based on those ingredients that you already keep on hand all the time. No more running to the store at the last minute for some rare item that you don't have. No more scratching your head thinking, well, gee, what on earth am I going to fix? And starting from scratch all of the time. You'll know what you've got, you'll know where you've got it, and you'll be able to make your meal plans from it. Now I'm going to show you a peek inside a meal planner that I have created that is for sale on my website. And I actually print mine out, and I actually printed out, and I made a spiral of it. I went to, I think it was Office Depot, and got it spiral bound. And then I put this little key ring type thing on it. That way it can hang. And this way, if you've got one of these, you can hang this where it is used, because one of the big tricks to keeping an inventory planner current and up to date is using pencil, and also teaching your family to make adjustments to the inventory planner when they pull something out. So let's take a sneak peek and look inside. I have just done an update to the planner, and I have added a page in the front about tips on how to use this inventory planner. That actually is the first page, and then the second page goes over with you a plan to help you clean out your pantry, your refrigerator, and your freezer. Because before we start taking any kind of an inventory or working on building up supplies, of food products or other, dry goods that we use most of the time, we need to do a thorough clean out and get rid of anything that is no longer good or that has expired. There's no sense in that stuff taking up space that is valuable real estate to us. And then we've got a place here to actually inventory our pantry. And you can print as many of these particular pages out as you need to for your personal use. But I've got a place for you to put down your baking supplies, your flour, your sugar, your baking soda, your baking powder, any extracts that you've got, brown sugar, things like that. You've got a place where you can list them, and I suggest you do that in pencil so you can keep this up to date, the number you've got, the date it expires, and when it needs to be thrown out. There's also a place for canned goods, and you most likely will need more than one page for your canned goods, but this is where I record the cans of green beans, the cans of corn, the cans of pinto beans, the cans of tomato sauce, all of those canned items that my family uses over and over and over again that are actually the basis for the meals that we cook at our house. Then there is a place here for cereals. That can be anything from box cereals to your boxes of oatmeal packets, or anything else like that. A plain place for your grains and all of your crackers. Got a place here for condiments. I don't know about you, but at our house we've not only got mayonnaise and ketchup and mustard, but we have different types of mustards in addition to barbecue sauce, salsas, things like that. And then if you keep any kinds of drinks, whether they be sodas, fruit juices, those little juice packets or anything else, if you keep powdered Gatorade or other kinds of powdered drink, mix that you add to water, this is a place for you to list those out. Coffee and tea. Now, we are not great big coffee drinkers in my particular house, but we do keep coffee, and we keep some flavored coffee creamer. But we also drink a lot of tea. My husband especially likes some specialty teas, and so it's nice to know what we've got on hand. And then dry goods. These are things that I keep, like the paper towels, the Kleenex, the toilet paper, all of those kinds of things. Then if you keep snack items, we keep golden raisins around most of the time. We keep some cheese crackers on hand. Also, we have a place here for your pasta, beans, and rice. Pasta, beans, and rice are generally fairly cheap food items that you can keep on hand, and that really helps to stretch your food dollar because they can become the basis of casserole dishes. You can take a pound of hamburger meat or a pound of chicken, shred it up, mix it with any of these things, and you're going to make that pound of meat go a lot further. A place for herbs and spices. This is another one. We need more than one page for herbs and spices. My husband is quite a wonderful cook, and we have spices that I have probably never used, but that he uses regularly. And then place for sauces and dressings. We also keep marinade mixes and gravy mixes, and this is a great place also for those bottled salad dressings or anything, marinades, anything else that you're going to use. And then other mixes and soups that you want to keep track of. Also, then your canned vegetables. If you want to keep those totally separate from your other canned goods, you can decide to do that for yourself. You can make that choice. Pet food. If you are a pet lover, you will want to make sure you've got your dog food on hand and know when it is good and how much you need to stock up on and when it's time to stock up. And then just all those miscellaneous things that someone in particular that I may not have thought of, but that may be applicable to your situation. So that's the inventory for the pantry, whether that is in a cupboard, whether that is in a closet that's easily accessible to the kitchen, whether it is in an outbuilding or in a closet somewhere around away from your kitchen, or if you have a walk-in pantry. Your next step then is to inventory your refrigerator. Here's a place for the dairy and eggs. We nearly always have sour cream and cottage cheese. A place for fresh fruits that you've got. A place for your fresh vegetables. This is one that I really have to keep on top of because it is so easy for that lettuce, you to buy it one week and then something happens And when you come back to it a week or 10 days later, the lettuce is kind of gone a little soggy, which is always pretty gross. But having this on a list where you can look at lets you know that you've got some fresh lettuce or fresh tomatoes or whatever you've got in the refrigerator that you need to use before it goes bad. Because food that you throw in the trash becomes money that you've just wasted. And nobody's got money to waste these days. Here is a place for the meats that you keep in the refrigerator, your lunch meats, fish and poultry, any baked goods or dough. For example, my father loves peanut butter cookies, and I cannot always find them at the store. So here not too long ago, I bought a couple of rolls of the slice and bake type cookies that I need to get busy and make for him pretty quick. And then any prepared meals and leftovers that you've got, any soup and stock that you've got. Again, feel free to print off as many of these as you need for your personal use. And then this is for things actually you've got on the door, because sometimes it's easy to look inside and realize, oops, we've got 3 bottles of ranch salad dressing that are opened up, and we don't need to do that. We need to use what we've got. And then you also want to know exactly what's in your freezer. Whether you have a little freezer that's just on top of your refrigerator, or if you've got a side-by-side, or if you've got a separate upright or chest deep freeze. But this is a place to put any frozen meals that you've got that you've already prepared. Here not too long ago, we had a meal that we prepared that was hamburger meat with cheese tortellini and a spaghetti sauce that we did not eat all of. And I knew it was getting time to either eat it or to freeze it. And so I put it in a freezer bag, laid it flat on a cookie sheet in the freezer so it would not lay nice and flat so I could really store it in the least amount of space possible. And I make note of what I've got in here on a sheet like this. Meals that you've cooked, raw meat. This way, if you find hamburger on a good price or chicken or something, you go ahead and record it down, how many packages you've got, your frozen vegetables, if you like ice cream or things like that, and then a place for just miscellaneous things. And then back here at the back, I've got a place you can print these off. Some food labels if you want to print those off, and then use a clear tape to stick them to a canister. You could do that, or you could even take them and attach them with freezer tape to the packages that are going into your freezer or that are going into your pantry. But you've got several things you can choose from here. And then I've got a page that is shopping list. You could print off as many of these as you need, cut them in half if you don't need the whole page, make your shopping list, take it with you to the grocery store, check off what you get when you need it. And then I've got a to-do list, because it seems like with our pantry and our refrigerator, there's always something that we need to do. We either need to clean out the refrigerator and get rid of expired items, clean out the crisper in the meat drawer, wipe up any spills, get that cleaned again, or we need to go into the pantry to pull the things that are the oldest close to the front so that we do not forget to use those first. We don't want to waste those things. And then new to the update is just a place for some final thoughts where you can record any thoughts, any discoveries, or any things that you plan to do. For example, something I did here a couple of years ago was in our pantry, the shelves are really far apart, and I was ready to put some can organizers in there. So that might be a plan that you've got, is to do something to build some shelves or something that would be part of your plans for the future for that pantry items. So anyway, that's what is in this. This is available over on my website, and I will leave a link in the description below.